So Elon just picked Dogecoin over Bitcoin. He's working with the Dogecoin development team to make Dogecoin better. I'm not sad. I'm not sad at all. No, Elon! You were the chosen one. Hi, my name is Andrei Jikh. Hope you're doing well. Come for the finance and stay for the... Thanks, Elon. Thanks a lot. That's it. I'm getting rid of my Tesla. Wait, I don't have a Tesla. So here's what happened this week. The price of Bitcoin and other cryptos pretty much flash crashed in a matter of minutes as soon as Elon told the world that Tesla will no longer be accepting Bitcoin as a form of payment to buy Teslas with. And check out this price graph. This is where Bitcoin was before he sent that tweet, and this is what happened to Bitcoin right after he sent that tweet. And this is exactly what he said. He said, Tesla has suspended vehicle purchases using Bitcoin. We are concerned about rapidly increasing use of fossil fuels for Bitcoin mining and transactions, especially coal, which has the worst emissions of any fuel. Cryptocurrency is a good idea on many levels, and we believe it has a promising future, but this cannot come at a great cost to the environment. Tesla will not be selling any Bitcoin, and we intend to use it for transactions as soon as mining transitions to more sustainable energy. We're also looking at other cryptocurrencies that use less than 1% of Bitcoin's energy per transaction. Okay, raise your hand for just a minute if you believe that Elon Musk, arguably the most intelligent person to walk this earth right now, who runs arguably the largest car and aerospace companies in the world, just suddenly realized that Bitcoin uses electricity? So I was looking on Twitter the other day just to see what people were saying, because that's the best place. And here is my favorite petty response. Lolly has officially suspended buying Teslas. We are deeply concerned about the CEO's inability to understand that Bitcoin is largely mined with renewable energy. Tesla is a good idea on many levels, but this cannot come at the cost of the future decentralized financial system. Lolly will not be giving Bitcoin back on any Teslas or be buying Teslas. We will be looking for other companies that support the inevitable Bitcoin standard. It's fun being petty sometimes, but here's the real question. Is this Elon Musk or is it Elon Musk? Because it doesn't sound like a tweet that he would ever put out himself. So one of the theories people have is that perhaps it was one of his members of the board of Tesla that forced him to put out that message, because when does Elon ever write something so formal and impersonal, and when does he ever use pronouns like we? Usually he doesn't, so maybe he was forced to put out this message or else risk being Steve jabbed. Another theory that people have is that maybe this is the inevitable Elon, the chief pumping officer, doing what Elon does best, which is manipulate unregulated markets like crypto, because that's how billionaires have fun. Because just like cardistry, manipulating pieces of paper is only fun when they represent people's lives. No, I'm just kidding. Another theory people have is that maybe this was him crashing the price so he can buy the dip, and then maybe next week he's gonna put out a tweet that says, just kidding, wanted to be TFD, guys. And the last theory people have is that maybe this is how we get away from Bitcoin and transition into Dogecoin, and maybe the Doge was right all along. This was the catalyst that we needed to get to 250. And from now on, we're gonna be buying our Teslas not with Bitcoin, but with Dogecoin, because Dogecoin really is the Jack Sparrow of all cryptos. You are without doubt the worst crypto I've ever heard of. But you have heard of me, savvy. So let's try to figure out exactly what has happened and try to separate some of the fact from fiction to see if Elon really meant to say what he said and if he just ended Bitcoin's career, or if there's a little bit more to that story. So I'll start with citing a research paper that was done by Square, a fintech startup that was also helped and worked on by ARK Invest. And the main takeaway from that research paper was that renewable energy is now the cheapest form of energy, cheaper even than coal or natural gas. So let me show you and let's compare the cost. Solar energy has come down 3 to 4 cents kilowatt hour, and wind has come down 2 to 5 cents kilowatt hour. And this is important when comparing against the dirty energy, the fossil fuels like natural gas and coal that Tesla is criticizing Bitcoin for. I say Tesla, not Elon, for reasons I'll say later in the video, because fossil fuels right now cost between 5 to 7 cents kilowatt hour, so it's actually more expensive. Here's a quick graph comparing clean energy versus dirty energy. You can see that across the board, clean energy is actually cheaper to use right now. So why does any of this matter? Well, it's important because in the world of crypto, miners go where energy is cheapest. They do this because the less they pay for energy, the more money they get to keep for themselves. And this is why people say that crypto and Bitcoin is actually what subsidizes and helps the growth of clean energy. Because one of the biggest demanders of this clean, cheap energy and one of the biggest buyers is the world of crypto. And that makes clean, renewable energy more efficient and better over time. It's also why people say that up to 70% of Bitcoin's entire hash rate comes from renewable clean energy sources, and that's a lot. Now, I will say that there are still parts of this world where today fossil fuel energy is still cheaper to use than clean energy like solar, electric, hydro, whatever it is. This is also why a lot of people criticize some of the mining operations in China. So here are some numbers behind that. Credit to Anthony Pompliano for his newsletter and Nick Carter, who did a lot of research, so huge credit to them and a huge shout out. But right now, XINJIANG is actually the biggest Bitcoin mining operation in China. And for them, 50 to 60% of their energy comes from fossil fuel energy, so dirty energy, which is legit not a good thing. But over time, that number is going to come down. Now, the second biggest mining operation actually came from Mongolia. And if you remember, earlier this year or last year, China actually shut down mining operations there. So the second biggest dirty energy mining operation was shut down. That's a good thing. And then the third biggest one, which came from Sichuan and Yunnan, are really interesting because some parts of the year, 50% of Bitcoin's entire hash rate comes from Sichuan and Yunnan. Now, 100% of that energy is clean energy. It's hydro, it's water powered. So at least some parts of the year, 50% of Bitcoin's hash rate is 100% clean renewable energy. So the trend is green. Bitcoin is becoming more green over time as clean renewable energy sources become cheaper and more accessible to use across different parts of the world. So that much we know for sure. Now, we can debate the merits of clean renewable versus non-renewable all day long, but at the end of the day, I just feel like this is something that Elon knew way before when he bought back in March. None of this information is new to him, so here is my theory behind why he did what he was forced to do. Just a quick disclaimer. This is purely my hypothesis, only my opinion, and I'm only speculating here, so just wanted to throw that out there. But the reason is not because Elon loves Dogecoin so much and he wants to replace Bitcoin. The answer is way more straightforward to me. Tesla is one of the few companies right now with an outstanding application with the EPA. So Tesla wants that sweet, renewable, zero emissions credit money. But in order to get it, it has to be green. Like really green. So I'm guessing right now the EPA is heavily scrutinizing Tesla and the entire business model. Not just the products they make, but also the types and form of payments they accept for those products. And if you were the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, which is also a part of the federal government, which also is not a huge fan of Bitcoin and crypto in general right now, you might look at Bitcoin and think, what is this magic internet bean money you want to replace our fiat system with? That's not green. That's not efficient. You know what, Elon, Tesla, credit, denied. They probably didn't do a magic trick though. This is my Occam's razor. This is the explanation that makes the most simple sense to me. Do I drop Bitcoin in order to get access to $1 billion worth of credit money so I could use to make billions of dollars worth of profit? Let me think. Yes, I can always buy more Bitcoin later at a cheaper price. That's weird of my ass. So here are my overall personal thoughts. First, Elon didn't actually sell his own personal holdings or Teslas. They still have over $1 billion worth, and if they really thought Bitcoin was bad and evil, wouldn't they have sold it by now? But they haven't, so that tells me everything I need to know. I always follow the money. The second thing I thought was strange was Elon criticizing the energy consumption perspective, considering his own circumstance. Should people stop buying Teslas because they use batteries, which requires lithium, and that's a very harmful mining process to the environment? What about rocket fuel? And I really refuse to believe that somebody as smart as Elon didn't research this before buying over $1 billion worth of Bitcoin. But regardless, if Elon and Tesla support Bitcoin or not, Bitcoin is here to stay. And a big part of that reason is because of renewable energy. Why do you think we're transitioning to a more green, sustainable energy future? It's not because the government is telling us we have to. The government's never forced anyone to do anything long term. And it's not because of corporate America growing a consciousness about wanting to help save the planet. They're Shinra, and Bitcoin is Avalanche. I mean, maybe I'm pessimistic, but corporate America is greedy and it's profit driven. We've always used the cheapest labor, the cheapest parts, the cheapest energy to reduce our overhead costs and increase shareholder value. That's just how it works. The real reason we're making that transition is because for the first time, things like solar, wind, and hydro make more financial sense to use. The costs associated with those energies have finally come down low enough to increase our wallets more. And that is why Bitcoin has kept up with the pace, if not grown faster, in terms of adopting this green renewable energy than anything else. Because miners are profit driven. They are also like corporations. So if that's the case, it makes sense to assume that over the next few years, Bitcoin is going to draw most of its power from those renewable energy sources because it's going to get cheaper. On top of that, Bitcoin is accelerating the efficiency and making those renewable energy sources better and cheaper over time because there is so much demand from the world of crypto to adopt these renewable energy sources. But okay, let's just assume that I got something wrong, that Bitcoin is really bad, dirty energy. Here's another way to look at its energy consumption in a way that is not and cannot ever be considered wasteful. Playing Final Fantasy VII is a waste of energy. I mean, not really, it makes me happy, but it's still not helping anyone. And I think people confuse Bitcoin as the same thing. They think, what's the point of giving economic freedom to first world countries when you're just helping rich people buy Teslas? Who cares? But the truth is a little bit more nuanced, because if we zoom out, let me channel my inner Andreas Antonopoulos here and think about it like this, because I've always thought that the way to bring economic relevance to countries, and by that I mean make poor countries not so poor, is by banking the unbanked and giving people a financial instrument or a money that is equal across the world. Because right now, each country has its own unique currency, and the dollar happens to be the most powerful because it's also the world reserve currency. I mean, that's cool for us here in the US, but what about for people living in countries like Venezuela, Greece, Zimbabwe, Turkey, Russia? I mean, just this year I went to Russia and I was trying to help my uncle buy a house. And I remember the realtor lady telling me, our interest rates are the lowest they've ever been. It's amazing. I'm like, oh, how much is it? 4.5% to 5%? I'm like, what? Yeah, because their historical interest rates have been anywhere upwards of 9 to 12% and even higher. And I'm not even exaggerating. And that's partially because governments with bad business practices that know nothing more than just printing money away are given high interest rates because they're deemed as high risk countries. So if I'm a central bank and I'm gonna lend my money to a government that has bad practices, I'm gonna make sure to get my money's worth and I'm gonna charge them a high interest rate. And that makes poor countries stay poor and their citizens even more poor. So to solve that, you give everyone an equal playing field by giving them an ultrasound money that's based on some global standard. Something that's immutable, meaning it cannot be changed after it's been made or created. Something that governments can't just print more of, and something that is not controlled by any single government. The answer is Bitcoin. It's like literally having a Swiss bank account in your pocket, and that's one of the ways to solve that. It's not all of the ways, it's just a huge first step in the right direction. And if there was a technology that was capable of doing that, which obviously there is, what should be the price of paying to secure that network? Is it ever wasteful to give that power? That's an answer that is going to vary depending on who watches this video, but I think it's kind of an interesting question. So regardless if Elon comes with us or not, this doesn't change anything for me, and I still think that Bitcoin is going to 100K. Deal with it. So stupid. Also, I'm finally excited to release my new spreadsheet to track your stonks automatically. Go get it. It's in my Patreon, link down below. And as always, don't forget to grab up to $250 worth of free Bitcoin using this BlockFi link right here, blockfi.com/Andrei. And once you do that, go get those 2 free stonks that you can track with this spreadsheet. By depositing $100, you can get 2 free stocks, each of which can be valued up to $1,850. Love you. Thank you so much for watching this video. I would love to know your thoughts about what is going on, and I'll see you back on Monday and Friday, sometimes on Wednesday. Bye-bye.